Woodpeckers and Kingfishers, Miss Stewart here with the third part of Jack and the Beanstalk, pages 7 to 10. If you remember yesterday, Jack stole a bag of gold coins and the family lived prosperously on it for a long time, but then they ran out of money again. And when Jack awoke, he found that the beanstalk had grown. And he climbed and he went to see the ogre's wife for the second time, and he ended up in the oven, and that's where we find the story today. And at this moment in time, the ogre is going over to the oven. Jack and the Beanstalk, part 3. And he went to feel the handle of the door, but his wife cried out sharply, "Roast! Why, you'd have to wait hours before they were done. I'll broil them. See how bright the fire is." Growled the ogre, and then he began sniffing and calling out, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "Twaddle," said the ogre's wife, "it's only the bones of the boy that you had last week that I've put in the pig bucket." Said the ogre harshly, but he ate the broiled calves, and then he said to his wife, "Bring me my hen that lays the magic eggs. I want to see gold." So the ogre's wife brought him a great big black hen with a shiny red comb. She plumped it down on the table and took away the breakfast things. Then the ogre said to the hen, "Lay," and it promptly laid. What do you think? A beautiful, shiny, yellow golden egg. "None so dusty, henny penny," laughed the ogre. "I shan't have to beg as long as I've got you." Then he said, "Lay," once more, and lo and behold, there was another beautiful, shiny, yellow golden egg. Jack could hardly believe his eyes, and made up his mind that he would have that hen, come what might. So when the ogre began to doze, he just out like a flash from the oven, seized the hen and ran for his life. But you see, he reckoned without his prize, for hens, you know, always cackle when they leave their nests after laying an egg, and this one set up such a squawking that it awoke the ogre. "Where's my hen?" he shouted, and his wife came rushing in, and they both rushed to the door, but Jack had got the better of them by a good start, and all they could see was a little figure right away down the wide white road, holding a big squawking, crackling, fluttering black hen by the legs. How Jack got down the beanstalk he never knew. It was all wings and leaves and feathers and cacklings. But get down he did, and there was his mother wondering if the sky was going to fall. But the very moment Jack touched ground he called out, "Lay," and the black hen ceased cackling and laid a great big shiny yellow golden egg. So everyone was satisfied, and from that moment everybody had everything that money could buy, for whenever they wanted anything they just said "lay," and the black hen provided them with gold. But Jack began to wonder if he couldn't find something else beside money in the sky, so one fine moonlight summer night he refused his dinner, and before he went to bed stole out to the garden with the big watering can and watered the ground under his window. For he thought, there must be 2 more beans somewhere, and perhaps it's too dry for them to grow. Then he slept like a top. And lo and behold, when he woke there was a green light shimmering through his room, and there he was in an instant on the beanstalk, climbing, climbing, climbing for all he was worth. But this time he knew better than to ask for his breakfast from the ogre's wife, would be sure to recognise him. So he just hid in some bushes beside the great white house, till he saw her in the scullery. Then he slipped out and hid himself in the copper, for he knew she would be sure to look in the oven first thing. And by he heard thump, thump, thump. And peering through a crack in the copper lid, he could see the ogre stalk in, with 3 huge oxen strung at his belt. But this time no sooner had the ogre got in the house than he began shouting, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." For you see, the copper lid didn't fit tight like the oven door, and the ogre have noses like a dog's for scent. "Well, I declare, so do I," exclaimed the ogre's wife. "It'll be that horrible boy who stole the bag of gold and then the hen. If so, he's hid in the oven." But when she opened the door, lo and behold, Jack wasn't there, only some joints of meat roasting and sizzling away. Then she laughed and said, "You and me Be fools for sure. Why, it's the boy you caught last night as I was getting ready for your breakfast. Yes, we be fools to take dead meat for live flesh, so eat your breakfast. There's a good ogre. But the ogre, though he enjoyed roast boy very much, wasn't satisfied, and every now and then he would burst out with fee-fi-fo-fum, and get up and search the cupboards, keeping Jack in a fever of fear, lest he should think of the copper. But he didn't. And when he had finished his breakfast, he called out to his wife, "Bring me my magic harp. I want to be amused." So she brought out the little harp and put it on the table, and the ogre leant back in his chair and said lazily, "Sing." And lo and behold, the harp began to sing. If you want to know what it sang, why, it sang about everything. It sang so beautifully that that Jack forgot to be frightened, and the ogre forgot to think of fee-fi-fo-fum, and fell asleep and did not snore. Then Jack stole out of the copper like a mouse and crept hands and knees to the table, raised himself up ever so softly and laid hold of the magic harp, for he was determined to have it. But no sooner had he touched it than it cried out quite loudly, "Master, master!" So the ogre woke, saw Jack making off, and rushed after him. My goodness, it was a race. Jack was nimble, but the ogre's stride was twice as long. So though Jack turned and twisted and doubled like a hare, yet at last, when he got to the beanstalk, the ogre was not a dozen yards behind him. There wasn't time to think, so Jack flung himself onto the stalk and began to go down as fast as he could, while the harp kept yelling, "Master, master!" at the top of his voice. He had only got down about a quarter of the way when there was the most awful lurch you can think of, and Jack nearly fell off the beanstalk. It was the ogre beginning to climb, and his weight made the stalk sway like a tree in a storm. Then Jack knew it was life or death, and he climbed down faster and faster. As he climbed, he shouted, "Mother, mother, bring an axe, bring an axe." Now his mother, as luck would have it, was in the backyard chopping wood, and she ran out thinking that this time the sky must have fallen. Just at that moment Jack touched the ground and he flung down the harp, which immediately began to sing all sorts of beautiful things, and he seized the axe and gave a great chop at the beanstalk, which shook and swayed and bent like barley before a breeze. "Have a care!" shouted the ogre, clinging on as hard as he could. But Jack did have a care, and he dealt that beanstalk such a shrewd blow that the whole of it, ogre and all, came toppling down, and of course the ogre broke his crown, and so that he died on the spot. After that, everyone was quite happy, for they had all the gold to spare, and if the bedridden father was dull, Jack just brought out the harp and said, "Sing," and lo and behold, it sang about everything under the sun. So Jack ceased wondering so much and began quite a useful person. And the last bean still hasn't grown yet. It is still in the garden. I wonder if it will ever grow, and what little child will climb its beanstalk into the sky. And what will that child find? And year 5 and 6, that is the end of our text, Jack and the Beanstalk. Have a look at the timetable. Have a look at the checklist to see what you've got today to do today. Good luck. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.